You know, there's too much space in the center. Please come and fill up come closer. In the last 5 minutes, actually since 1 o'clock this morning, it's not easy to come here and speak to more than 3 people. So it was up most of the night wondering what I'm going to say. And I still don't know what I'm going to say. But I got to look at the roofs. hotel up the street, and it's really nice to look down and to see these, some of the flats here, they have a little patio outside. So it's very nice, very European. In America, we don't have any charm. And there's charm everywhere, but I'm sure you don't see it. But we really appreciate it. In the next 7 days, I'd like to invite you on a journey. And this particular journey it comes from a father that is having a hard time for the last 3-4 years. My eldest son, the oldest, has been having a real hard time. He just turned 19 yesterday, and like a lot of parents, it's not easy to raise our kids, whether they're healthy or not. Just like most of us are very difficult with our parents, and then it gets to be a cartoon. And my son has gone from worse to worse to worse to worse, getting worse. And watching this occur to such a young man, losing so much of his life. And, like most parents, your first child is a very precious thing. And like most fathers, you become very proud of your first child, especially a boy, like a mother to a daughter. And watching all this pride being torn down, it's literally the last 40 years there's been this building that was built up has literally been torn apart brick by brick, stone by stone, and it continues to tear down. It doesn't get any better. And to watch this, and it has affected naturally my mind about what it is that I say to other people, and under what content I wish to say. If my son did not have this illness and was fine, I would most likely continue to carry on the same content that I had planned for years ago with these teachings, to carry the same course. But as a result of what has happened, it has just torn my heart open, and it continues to tear my heart open. And as a result, it has broken down this content of this plan that I had years ago of what to say and how to put out the teachings. And as a result of going through this experience, it has laid open content. I don't have this plan anymore. It doesn't work anymore. And as a result, over the years, I have deliberately held back a lot of what I know inside, and been very surface with my teachings. Literally, actually trying to keep the logic, keep the reasons, so it is easy for almost anybody to understand. In essence, keep all the esoteric stuff out. Because the esoteric stuff has literally become so disoriented now in our world. Psychics who are claim to be psychics are not psychics at all. If you understand really how to read people, once you understand this process, it's really it's not an extraordinary thing to read somebody's feelings and read where somebody's coming from. You just got to know a few things, and it's easy to give out a reading. But the esoteric that is really real out there is what confuses people. And as you know, for the last 9 years, I've kept most of the esoteric out of teachings and really put everything on a typical kitchen table. And because of what has happened in this next 7 days, I don't have I guess the shield to keep out of what is really inside me. So, in essence, I'm going to also talk about something that I never would dream ever I'll ever teach.
Be more comfortable tomorrow.
This is Grandma. And in this next 7 days, people wonder how is it that I teach, and how is it that I get the sense of a crowd, and how I get the feeling for a crowd. And actually, it is that you are within my space, you could call it, within my aura, you're within my field. And it all depends on how big your field is, and really on what you can do. And that's what determines it. And in essence, this next 7 days, we're going to talk about our fields and how it is we can, let's say, learn more, understand more, how we can stretch our minds, stretch our hearts. And in essence, it really stretches our field. And So we're going to actually learn to understand how to stretch our fields. Because sometimes, some of us, we understand things not with our minds so well, but with our feelings. And for some of us, it's with our hearts. And some of us, it's with our touch. And some of us, we sense things differently. But with our fields, we can all stretch our fields. That we can do. But there's a price to pay for that, too. And we all have understood the prices that we pay to learn more. We don't get away with anything, whether we are ignorant or whether we profit from some philosophy or concept. That there is a price to pay. My son and I, the reason I'm bringing this up is because my son had learned this at a very early age. His field was always very big, and my son and I always communicated this way. And when he was outside my field, he knew it. It was very clear to him. And the minute he got inside my field, he started to sense the differences. And this is how we always communicated with our field. And it was just no big deal. He was young. But presently, because of my son's conditions, he has no awareness anymore of this. There's something wrong going on with his brain. It's a biological thing. And now this doesn't work, and so therefore I cannot feel my son like I did before. It's gone. But with others, yeah, with others I do. When we grow up in a particular home, like we all have grown up in the fields of our parents, our brothers, and our sisters, and sometimes our grandmas and uncles and aunts. And we get used to these particular people. We get used to their personalities, their feelings, their thoughts, their behavior. And somehow, when we go to sleep at night, somehow we start to have dreams about them and about the various behaviors. And it is actually literally the energetics of these fields that really influence our dreams. It's what we really carry with us. In the fire dance, it is also very prevalent and very clear about what takes place in the fire dance. Somehow we all sense that there's a field, there's something a little bit different than a typical environment taking place. And we all have literally, through the dance, changed the environment of where we do this particular fire dance. But we all have also learned to understand that we have to leave this particular building. We have to walk away from our own homes or offices, from the taxi cabs, even from the cafes. And somehow, no matter where we walk, our shadow follows. In essence, our field is always there. And to become cognizant of this particular field, to have a consciousness of this field in itself, there is also a price to pay. A human body consists of so much bacteria, billions of bacteria. We have an awful lot of viruses that are dormant inside. We have a lot of crawling creatures inside our bodies that really keeps us going. It's what helps us. In essence, just like we need the city, we need the people to take care of the electricity. There's a tremendous amount of help also inside. And this particular field that once we start to become cognizant of it, and what is it? What is it to wake up? What did the Buddha mean? What is it to really be an individual? What is it to stand on my own? What is it to be born? And what is it just for us to really leave this planet on our own? And what is it to be in our own field with no one else in our field that can influence us anymore? It is very much like when we were much younger, how so many young kids get influenced by watching Hollywood movies and people smoking. And when we're young, we do want to be like, maybe like daddy, mother, or like a movie star, or like someone down the street, or like our big brother or big sister. And so we take up smoking too. And so we have this influence. And we grow up actually easily influenced, and most of us don't even know it. And to become extremely cognizant of this field is to remove the naivety, not to be influenced by anybody, whether they are standing next to us, to be influenced by a person selling something to us, to be influenced by our friends, or by a government, or even by our own minds. And for the last 4 years, actually is when I lost my contact with my son. And in this last month, his condition got worse. And as most of you know, over the years, and if we go to other countries, there's hundreds more. Probably if we put everybody together, I don't know, maybe 800, 900 people. And working together all these years, we have become very personal with each other. We have become extremely personal with each other. And it's not a typical thing with a teacher to become this person and to have these feelings. And it is just not the workings of the fire ants. And it's just not a person up here speaking. It is, you could say that it is, I found it very wonderful to have you in my field, and I find it most beautiful to be in your field. And the one thing that what we all have learned over the years, that there is no hierarchy. And for the most part, all I am is really just a bigger brother that has probably lived a little bit longer than most of you. That have somehow seen things and see things that others just do not see. And because we are in this field, and it's just a matter of time for others to see and to learn, and with no hierarchy. That it has allowed these personal feelings that we have with each other. And as a result, to have so many people, and naturally, with this many people, how we influence the cafes, the hotel owners, a community, and how they see that they're all very, very different people. We're not aggressive people. And that is because we are comfortable, we have learned to feel comfortable with ourselves more. And it is a field within itself that is really more relaxed. I'm not up here to polish your personalities. I'm not up here to raise the intellect. Most of you have realized that with me, fine as you are, as you walk in through this building, you're okay as you are. And it's just a matter of understanding a few things, rearranging a few things inside. One thing that has become very clear is that and this is the most beautiful thing that I could say that I'm very proud of about you, is that your silence has become louder. Your silence has become louder. And so, to open up these doors of teachings that I didn't think I would ever teach, I can thank my son for this. We have sweat lodges that are only 5 minutes from here by car, just right up the street. And we're going to do a fire dance. After the break or lunch? What would you like? Grandma, after the break or lunch? She's the one who does the fire dances. Yeah. You know, back home, the same people that I've been working with, let me see, 15 years now, and it's a very small group. It doesn't grow. It's always the same people, and they don't talk to anybody about what they do. You know, it's always been like that. And so there's only just a few people, and I'm totally exhausted after just working, maybe 20 people, 25 people, but it's a wonderful thing because I get to spend a long time on each person, but to do a fire dance for this many people. I have to be a Hottentot. And then it makes it possible. So I have to change my attitude with you. But as you know, doing a fire dance for this many people is it is because of you. Where the endurance comes in. And then for the new people, I'm going to ask, you don't have to participate. I suggest you even watch, not even tell the other people, watch. Don't dance, just sit down and watch, so you don't have to come in and observe, really observe and watch what's going on. And this is a particular dance that doesn't matter how much you jog or run, it won't do you any good in the fire dance. Because some people would say it's a matter of attitude. And you could say, yeah, but it takes more than attitude to do this. There's an intent behind it, and there's a knowingness behind it. And there's a very strong feeling behind it that most of us have become very, very sure about it. And through this intent, the sureness, and after doing so many dances, we receive a lot. We have received an awful lot. And over the years, we all have aged quite a few years, and with most of us, I can see we have become stronger in our bodies, much stronger. A lot of us have gone through a lot of illnesses to get the illnesses out that were dormant in there. And I remember those first few years, it was very difficult doing the dances. And, I had some people keeping up with all of the tension inside the muscles, trying to keep them relaxed. Next year, we are going to have a retreat. We don't know if we're going to have it in Lausanne, or we might even thinking about having it here, because it's a nice place. So we're trying to decide. So if I can get some feedback from you also, whether to do it in Lausanne or to do it here, I would appreciate your feedback. Also, the parking for the cars, Heidi, those of you, yeah, can you please? Yeah? Yeah. And also, I'm supposed to say that the windows do not open. They don't open, we have air conditioner. And we'll find out how much it works during the dance. And that's going to depend a lot, too. Because it's going to get pretty hot in here. Do we have a carpet to put on the floor? Yes. Okay, good. Yeah, so we have a carpet we're going to dance on.
And the carpet is still downstairs, so all the strong men, as soon as we start, gather around me and then we do so in front.
Yeah, so the carpet is downstairs, so what he said is that during the break, if we can get all the men to go help us bring the carpet up here. Men, huh?
No hard jobs for women.
understand that there are some sisters here from watching other sisters come for a number of years, or a brother coming to see what it is that your brother and sister have been doing all these years. And, so I was told I have to be real good. And look sharp. No cussing. Let me explain for the new people the fire dance. The fire dance is not a North American Indian dance. They don't do this dance. They haven't seen this dance, actually, in America. This dance is it's for Europe. This dance is this is your dance. This is not my dance. This is a gift that I had asked to give Europe back, because I received a very precious gift in Europe. And because of that, I had asked to give something back to Europe. And this is the fire dance. And this dance originated here in Europe. And I just want to keep reminding you, this is Europe. It actually literally scares most of the Indians. Most of the Indians that have seen this, it scares them. It's too much. It's too real. Because most Indians now, their dances are for show, and they dress for show, and they dance most of the dances for show, for the tourists. And they've been doing this for so many decades that most Indian dances are really just for show. And so when they had seen this dance, it literally scares most of them. And they don't know what to do with it. Straighten up your backs. Feel the crowd. Feel the room. Feel the room. There is something really more important than what is in my mind, and that is what's in your mind. There's really something more important than what is in my heart, but what is in your heart. There's something more important than my feelings, and those are your feelings. And with these words, hold this with yourself. With these words, hold this in your mind. And with these words, hold this in your heart. There is something more important than my hurt, and that is your hurt. There is something more important than my thoughts, and that is your thoughts. This is what it is to expand my field. You could say this is the philosophy one takes to take you into my field. It's what most parents naturally do anyway with their children. It is what lovers do with each other naturally. It is what very good friends naturally do. It is what children naturally do. But the trick is to do it with strangers. The trick is to do it with people that we are not familiar with. It is to do it with the society, to do it with the forest, to do it with the river, to do it with the forest fire. Our fear will lessen. Our anxiety will lessen. Our self-importance will lessen. Hi. Hi. Life is goodness. Life is not suffering. Life is goodness. And to have the courage to see this, even though we may have pain or our children have pain, to have the courage to see this, what it can do, not just for our lives, but what it can do for our communities. There was a choice a long time ago whether to have dreams that are nightmares, or to have dreams that are to see the goodness in life. And for so very long I chose nightmares. And I found it didn't do me any good. We're going to take a break and have all the men come help bring up the carpet We'll start the fire dance in about an hour. We'll give it a good hour, maybe an hour and a half if you'd like to get something to eat in the meantime.
Boy, I feel like I gotta talk much louder to reach you back there. I wish I could even see you better. You're so far back. It's is it me? There I go. It's a long ways back there. Wow. You're real small. You're very small. I'm small too up here. You know, when we go into a particular store, and some of these stores here, when you go in, you can feel that it belongs to somebody. And when you go into some other stores, there may be things on the shelf, and there could be a salesperson in there, but it feels like it doesn't belong to anybody. It's just a store with things in it. And it's a wonderful thing when you walk into a particular store, when you can feel it belongs to somebody. Immediately, practically everyone feels personalized. They feel much better in that store because it belongs to somebody. In essence, the person who owns that particular store, their field is stronger. Their field extends out much more than the average person. When a person actually wants to find out how big is their field, and there's a word for it, they call it how big is your aura. Most auras, they extend anywhere from 7 inches to about 13, 14 inches past the length of your fingertips. That's how far a lot of people's field goes. That's about it. When the mind starts to understand more in life, and it becomes more sophisticated, when people start to become more conscientious, more conscious of their environment, in essence, they just start to understand this world better. The field naturally starts to grow, and it can go out to anywhere between 21 inches and sometimes 24 inches past their fingertips. And anything past about, as far as I can see, 21, 24 inches, that seems to be an average limit. And after that, once a person's field gets beyond that, you're in a different category. Then a person's field starts to go into what is called more of the subtle fields. And when a person starts to break this limit of the average field, it's kind of like the average consciousness of a citizen. the citizen of a particular town, the citizen of a particular country. You know, that there's an average, the social consciousness. And once a person breaks and goes beyond this social consciousness, in essence, it is just not the mind that is going beyond their normal field. It is actually their web inside has broken this limit. And usually for most people, once they start to pass this limit, the first signs for so many people is a breakdown. It's a mental breakdown. And usually mental breakdowns for so many people are misinterpreted. If a doctor can't see the difference between an actual mental breakdown and versus they're extending something, an actual process has interfered into their lives, and actually it is kind of like an explosion inside. The explosion extends out. Well, this field would extend out. And what causes the breakdown? Let's back up here for a minute. Have you ever wondered what is the actual size of one's spirit? The actual physical size of one's spirit. The actual size of one's spirit is so much smaller than the atom itself. It is very, very small compared to the atom itself. The atom is really quite big in comparison to our spirits of where we come from. For a spirit to come into this dimension, it is quite an adventure. For we have found out, I don't know for sure, but they say that we live in a universe that is expanding out. It is growing out. And very funny thing, we find ourselves being born, and we find ourselves expanding. We find, everything expands, and naturally, things go back into decay, and we get older, and then we start to contract, and we start to get smaller again. As it is for suns, they expand, and then they all contract. Well, we actually are very, very small, actually, in this universe. And when we find ourselves being conceived and born in this particular universe, we find ourselves expanding from a very early age. And in this expansion, remember when we were teenagers, remember how men feel very differently than women in expanding from in our adolescence. Remember, for most men, we start to sense our ego. We start to become cognizant of our muscles. We want, to feel bigger and stronger, and our skin is real tight and refreshing and young, and our ideas are just ready to, just conquer the universe with our beautiful ideas and concepts. And just our presence in itself is divine. We can remember that when we were young. We can feel what it is to have the universe backing us up. Because we're expanding out into this world. And then we start to reach the age of 33. And this expansion is actually, it has literally ceased around the age. And then the contractions start to take place, and we start to find ourselves more on our own. And then we start to have to rely differently in our thinking about our lives. Because we can't stay up as long. We can't drink as much beer. We can't do the things that we did. Our bodies don't hold up like they did. And so we find ourselves feeling ourselves. We start to find our territory in our world. We still have a tremendous amount of animal inside us. We're very, very close to to the primal inside. And so we find our own territories. We have divided lands. We have put fences up. We put walls up. We put up walls between our children, our parents, our neighbors. We even try to put up walls to keep out the enemy. And somehow we find ourselves very comfortable with our boundaries. And then yet at times we find ourselves, we somehow got to go and touch the nature where there are no walls, no boundaries. So we find ourselves taking a walk through a forest or even through a desert and somehow gain something back, an old feeling that we know inside that is much better. It feels much better. But in the city, somehow, we still need our walls. And when we walk into someone's house or to someone's store, and there's actually someone living there, their field has encompassed their house or their store, and is filled with this person's feelings. It's filled with the person's ideas. It's filled with the person's dreams and hopes. It gives us a most wonderful sense. We have a better feeling to stay in the house. We have a better feeling to shop around in their particular store. Well, as it is for the very nature of our own spirits. Where we are actually very, very tiny, finding ourselves somehow in a year what we call 1999. And most of us have already expanded pretty much. We've already gone pretty much as far as we want to. And some of us want to extend our auras or our fields a little bit more, or our subtle territories a little bit more. But for most of us, we're pretty content with what we already have done with ourselves. We already know how to add. We already know how pretty much the city works. We got a pretty good idea of ourselves and of other people. And we're pretty comfortable with how far we have gone. And each generation, if the generation increases, the aura will also increase accordingly. And actually, it's something, it's almost like, it's like a heartbeat. For sometimes we can feel extremely contracted. And actually, the aura is actually, it's a breathing, it's like an organism that actually, it's like a breath that pulsates in and out. And sometimes, when a person gets very ill and very sick, the actual field starts to shrink. And when a person starts to feel more healthy, the field starts to expand. And we have come and we have found ourselves in an environment, and in particular universe, that is expanding. And that's good for us. For we are all people that have loves adventures. We love to look at new things. We love to sit down and watch people walk down the street. Love to see many different sizes and shapes, different hairdos and dresses and coats and shirts. We love to see different people walk differently. And somehow we never really get tired of watching people. And when a young person all of a sudden starts to see the faults of other human beings, they're expanding a little beyond, they have pushed it, in essence. They have pushed the learning. They have literally opened up a door prematurely. And this happens. We can literally open up our doors prematurely. So the expansion is a little too much for our little heads. And sometimes we get into trouble. And sometimes we can miss the boat and miss an opportunity, and somehow we run across a particular crossroad a little too fast. And the door no longer is there for us to open. And yet we can still walk in our particular universe, in a universe that is constantly expanding. And somehow we have found ourselves with many different wonderful sayings that a lot of people have put out. There's always an opportunity. There's always another day. There's always another way to think about it. Just don't give up. And sometimes we find that maybe if I can belong to this club or to that club, maybe it is this philosophy, or maybe if I wear this particular color today, or maybe if I just can only meet the right person, if only if my health was just a little bit better, if only I had learned this particular lesson, or only if I had not done that, or maybe if I would have done this. And as we walk, no matter where on this planet, this universe is always expanding. And somehow we find ourselves maybe a little too tired and we give up. And sometimes, most of the time, maybe we just don't care. Because life is already working for most of us anyway. The city goes on no matter what we do. Life doesn't stop whether we get ill or whether we pass away or whether we get angry at it or not. And sometimes we pick ourselves up and we start to walk with it. And sometimes it's a wonderful day and sometimes it is not. And sometimes our eyes are like telescopes and we can see very, very far. And sometimes we feel that our eyes can only see maybe a few millimeters in front, and that is about it. Maybe a little too blind today. Somehow most of us have learned that life is really not fair. It is really designed not to be fair. There's nothing fair about it. For most of us have found out fairness really only resides within our own minds. Of what we want and what we lack and what we wish and what we hope for. And when we can let go of this attitude that it's not a matter of being fair, it is simply how this world works. Life does expand. We have found ourselves, and we can remember there were periods in our life when we expanded very rapidly and very fast. We can remember when we were young that we would never stop expanding, never stop growing, never stop loving and liking the days that we walked. We never thought that we would maybe feel this way, so ill about this. We never thought that we would literally sell ourselves out. We never thought it would be this difficult or this rough. And for some, they are like surfers. They're like putting on skates. And no matter what they do, they are always skating around with ease. And there's always a tenderness and a softness on their face. And for some, there are no skates underneath their shoes. For somehow it's a ball and chain, and the weight seems to be heavy, and somehow they don't even see it. And we all have carried the ball and chain here and there. And some days, someone puts on skates underneath our shoes, and somehow the day is easy to skate through. There was no contract coming into this life that we would be guaranteed a washer and dryer. There was no guarantee that we would have a sink and running water. There was no guarantee that we would continue with health. There was no guarantee that we would live to be 102. For most of us have learned it is the quality within what time we have. And sometimes we find ourselves complaining, and sometimes we find that there's no value in it. Sometimes we feel good criticizing others. Sometimes we feel good being a bull and bullying other people. Sometimes it feels good to beat up another person. And sometimes it feels good just to cry, just to cry. And all people would love to have their lives much easier. And all people would love to have this and love to have that. But no one can escape. As long as we are alive here, we live in a universe that is constantly expanding. And somehow we were all born with the faculty of curiosity, always seeking. And sometimes we give up, but we always will get up and seek again. Somehow to have this particular faculty to seek, a curiosity, what is around the corner? What's laid out for me? What is my destiny? Who will I meet? What will happen? What's going to take place? Will I survive? Will I make it? Will I really, really reach it? And when a human being, you could say, somehow realizes that there is more to life than just my expanding. There is more to life than just my aura. There is more to life than just my territory that I have claimed. Whether the territory is my pockets, or maybe the territory in my head, totally locked up by the skull, very hard bone of the skull, hiding my thoughts from you, hiding my inner secrets from you. And the territory that lies in my heart of my feelings, covered up by tissue, covered up by my ribs, protected so very carefully. Somehow the center of my body. And somehow I do want this heart to continue to beat, not to stop. We know what will happen if my heart stops. I don't want my neurons to stop. We know what will happen if my neurons stop. Somehow we all want to keep going. We all wanted to keep working. In this ever-expanding universe. And sometimes when I think about it, before my heart even started its first ticking, what heart did I have? What was ticking then? what territory have I come from? And what territories have I claimed? I remember how important it was to put a little bird's egg in my pocket, that I have found a bird's egg. And how important it was to put it in my pocket. I got something very precious. I got something very alive. And just to find, just maybe an hour or two later, the crushed egg in my pocket, thinking I had something very important, and I had literally destroyed a life. And yet the comprehension and understanding of this was a little too much for this little boy's mind. But somehow took another territory and tried to claim it. And what was the result? As it is when we try to claim another human being, to enslave other people, or to use other people. And sometimes we have even seen it is a major philosophy still running around this planet. A philosophy to claim as much as you can, whether it is property or money or people's emotions or feelings. And for some people we have found there is no value in that. Or when we try to put other territories in our pocket. For our own self-gain. How fragile we have found other people to be, including ourselves. How easily the egg can break inside. And as it is for all creatures, and this egg will always be an egg until that person wakes up and you are no longer an egg. You have come out of your shell. The subtle environment, and some call it an astral plane. Some call it your aura, some call it your field. No longer has a shell. And somehow, like an explosion, call it an enlightenment, call it an awakening, an explosion of light that just constantly expands out and doesn't stop. And so therefore one's references will also somehow expand. So when something expands, it is almost like the moon separating, getting further and further away from the earth, expanding away from each other. The moon is no longer there. The mountain no longer sits in that direction. And one has to always remember, don't forget, your life is expanding. Your friend is no longer standing there. When you look in the mirror, you're not as young. When you try to remember, those thoughts are not in the same location in your mind. When you try to think of your feelings towards another person, it is not in the same place as it was before. Don't forget, you're expanding. An explosion has taken place. And this is where faith comes in. For the minute we were conceived, an explosion was immediate. An explosion of expanding out so rapidly, so fast, from moment to moment, second to second, minute to minute, year to year. And somehow this explosion somehow has relaxed and ceased. This is the explosion of one's ego, of one's pride at a very early age, of conquest, of design, of traveling here and traveling there. And when this explosion ceases, no longer supported, you could say, by nature, no longer that strong wind in our back pushing us, pushing the sail, pushing our sailboat. We may feel a little sad, we may feel abandoned. We may feel, what did I do wrong? All that has happened is now we have to walk on your own. And sometimes we don't like to grow up. Sometimes it is too difficult to grow up. Sometimes it is easier to stay our same mentality. Sometimes to be alone, sometimes to age is scary. But somehow it has happened from generation to generation. And we can easily hold on to our mentality and not mature. We can easily say that the wind is still behind me, and in reality it is not. We can easily run away from the shadows. We can easily dodge and weave in and out of recognizing that we're getting older. And somehow we have to find another way to find this wind. Somehow the explosion that we had from the moment we were conceived until the age of around 33, it was felt so wonderful. We could stay out all night. We have the strength to do so much. And somehow we literally have to find a way to translate, to transform all this into a sense what we call wisdom. And somehow find another way to explode inside. And maybe a transformation from conquest to just being kind. A transformation from intelligence to compassion. A transformation from strength to helping out. A transformation from so many of our friends leaving our cities, going away into other countries, and finding ourselves more alone, and transforming that into just the way it is. It is not easy for us to look within ourselves and find, you could say, the wisdom of this expanding universe. Sometimes we look inside and maybe there's too much sadness, or maybe there's just nothing, just a heartbeat, and maybe just a lot of thoughts. And maybe just a big to-do list inside. And we've seen it so many times. But somehow, to look inside, it's not that easy. It is not in a particular place as we know a place to be. like a niche. Or maybe it is that end of the building. Or maybe it's in that cupboard. Or maybe it is behind that door. Because we are this door. We are this niche. And sometimes we will even take drugs. And sometimes we will maybe even smoke or drink a little too much. And somehow it gives us another perspective to take us away. And sometimes it helps. And sometimes it takes a loss. And sometimes it's nice to just forget. But very funny thing, when I meet an old friend, when I come across a particular person, all the years that we have lived, all the things that we have done somehow are now okay. And my explosion inside, and sometimes I'm imploding. Sometimes I feel very small. And sometimes my field is very, very small. And it's okay with my friend. Sometimes I will do wrong, and sometimes I do wonderful things. And it's really okay still with my friend. And sometimes there isn't a friend to bounce off of. There isn't a mirror to reflect and to see, to gain an insight from an outer perspective. And I know when I lay down my head at night, they're still only my dreams. Somehow I have to contend with my own thoughts, with my own actions. And somehow, if I dream literally inside this body, and literally the transformations from youth to maturity, from conquest to just being kind. I can literally transform this inside me, my dreams, from hopelessness to hope, from suffering to goodness. I've heard about getting ignited, starting that spark all over again. Getting that pilot light activated. And sometimes it's a little too scary. Will I change my job? Will I have to leave my family? Will I do this? What will happen? And maybe I am just comfortable with where I am at, with what I have. We are creatures of pondering so many questions in so many different ways. We are creatures that find ourselves very comfortable. Very quickly we adapt to any environment, in any situation. We are creatures that we find so many people that have expanded minds and many that do not. And sometimes we make decisions to walk down this street and magic happens. Sometimes you make decisions to walk down this particular street and nothing happens. Sometimes we find ourselves just getting up in the morning and synchronicity walks with us. And sometimes you wonder who turned off the light. If I survived the early years of growing up, if the explosion in me was a wonderful thing, and I had a wonderful time growing up, and a terrible time too, like everybody. There must be a way to self-ignite and create another explosion inside. But don't forget the consequences. Your references will no longer be the same. Your friends, even your town, your ideas and your philosophies will no longer be in the same location inside your heart and inside your mind. For they are expanding out too. In essence, all that has happened, there is just more space in between each letter, each thought, each object. There is a certain saying that all is one. All is one. We all come from one. But to be one, you mean then I am going to take your rage and your anger, then I'm going to take your joys and your dreams, then I'm going to take your bad luck. If I expand so much that I even expand you inside me, will I have enough love, will I have enough care to take all that you are and to take it inside my field and have it be okay? This is what it takes for a human being to really care that much. That one no longer feels oneself. Therefore, one no longer feels or fears another person in an ill way. Not to fear what we call the negative, the bad, but to understand why. And then it becomes easier to release our shields, our protection, and our walls, that we can easily feel other people. So when someone walks in our store or walks into our house, we don't tell them to turn around, let me check you, let me frisk you, let me see what weapons you have in your mind, let me see what ill intentions you have in your back pocket, let me look to see what you are going to steal. Let me see what you are going to take from me. when we relax the desperation that we have in our blood, when we don't fear this desperation anymore, it becomes much easier for the blood, the ego of our blood, to sense the others in our environment, in our homes, and in our stores. It becomes much easier for our subtle internal environment to expand beyond 22, 23, 24 inches. And because once you pass that point, it is not a matter of millimeters or meters anymore. For there it goes into miles, into kilometers. For one can easily have an aura of 25 miles, 50 miles, but you pay a price. And yet the price is well worth it. For as we can easily love our own kids, for once you understand affliction and desperation, to eliminate jealousy and enviness, very funny thing, curiosity. Very funny thing to seek. For what we have found out, to seek doesn't mean you are going to find. For there's no guarantee. It's a wonderful thought and a wonderful philosophy, but that doesn't mean that we will find. And that takes us into, we can call these mysteries. And somehow it's nice to leave mysteries where mysteries belong. Whether it's in a book or just in the shadow, somehow that is a little too gray, a little too dark to see or to understand. And maybe it's best just to leave it there. Maybe it is none of our business. But your shadow is your business. And dark space is your business. For to understand why there's so much darkness in this expanding universe, there's a good reason why it's dark. It is dark not to see. And sometimes when we understand it, it's okay not to see. And for most of us, there is a time clock. I can remember when I wanted to be 17 so badly, and I was only 16 and a half. But because I was 16 and a half, I was 17. Somehow I wanted to see 17, something special about it. And how it took so many years, so much agony to make it okay to be 32 and a half and not 33. to make it okay of my shortcomings, to make it okay of my bad decisions, to make it okay of the things that I have done wrong. Somehow it's all a part of my shadow. Somehow we can find a way to turn all this into our own medicine. For you see, this shadow and this body that somehow has a wonderful bones and heart in it. That is, you are the mystery, a walking mystery. You are a mystery. And that's why I window shop and watch people walk up and down the various streets. Because no matter how many times we look at people, how we still love to look at people. A continuous mystery inside all of us. And there is no one like you. No one. For each of us have come from a certain direction. Each of us have seen worlds that others have not seen. Each of us knows things that others do not know inside. So many of us come here just out of curiosity. Some we come with faith. Some we come just to rest. Some of us come to hurt and kill others. Some come of us to bring our great thoughts and inventions. Some come here to build, and some come to destroy. Some come to explore other worlds. Some come here and they do not know why. But like a magnet to metal, like silver will seek silver in the earth, water will seek water within itself underneath the ground of this earth. Smoke will seek the upper sky. And the rivers will seek the oceans. And you will seek what elements you have inside you. It's why you find the person that you find, the people you love to be with, the ideas and the colors that you like, the music that you enjoy. And sometimes you find it's time to get up and explode again. Straighten up your backs. Feel what this does. Feel what this does to you. Feel how this affects you. Feel it moves. Hi. take a break. There's a subject matter that most likely affects quite a few people in here. And it's about taking medicine or some form of psychedelics or some psychedelic plants, ayahuasca, peyote, mushrooms, LSD, ecstasy. And those particular ones are great explosions. Now this has to do with the subject that we're talking about this morning, exploding and expanding one's field. Any particular psychedelic that has the ingredients to explode your mind, so to speak. And naturally, this is an internal explosion. It doesn't explode your particular aura. This is an internal explosion. And these particular explosions, they can help you. They don't help everybody. Some people, because of your state of mind, it's not good that you take it. Just because they help other people doesn't mean it's going to help you. This is really something that if you don't have a good guide, a person that has good discretion and that thinks that you shouldn't take it, please take that advice. And always kind of seek advice from a person who understands these particular psychedelics. And a person who has good common sense and good discretion. Get advice first. It really does help. My experience with people that take it a lot. What happens with these explosions, because the explosions are internal, they actually have the illusion thinking that they are affecting your actual aura. You can actually think that they are expanding you. It doesn't expand your field whatsoever. This is something that's internal. What expands your field is something outside psychedelics. It's more, it runs in the line of it's kind of hard to describe, but it's like an organic. It's a real process because it's really affecting reality. Anything that has to do when we take a substance inside, you can play with reality, and that's what fools a lot of these people. And so they keep wanting to take it a lot because they think that they are expanding a lot. And inside you can induce a great deal of understanding and learning, and it can give you tremendous insights, and it can give you a big jump above your own thinking, above your own philosophy. It can give you experiences that you can't get any place else. It can do these things. But who is taking the psychedelics? Who is taking these psychedelics? Who? Under what intent? That's the whole point. You don't take it as a game. You don't take it as a circus ride. You take it as it's a very serious thing, because your internal mind is going to explode. And you're going to see things that you're not normally used to. And if you do take it, give your life, give your mind a good 6 months to recuperate, to integrate the explosion before you take it again. Because what happens if you can continuously take this once a month, or once every 3 months, your mind does not have any time to integrate the explosion. And then it becomes in conflict with normal life. It becomes in conflict with mediocrity. It becomes in conflict with ordinariness. And pretty soon you have very strong contrast of black and white. Ordinariness is not, it's not exciting. An explosion is exciting. And so just like a nice drink, or a candy bar, or something that you eat that you like, that it's kind of can be somewhat habitual. Some nice cake, cookies, whatever, it's nice. And it gives you a little high, a little boost away from the ordinariness. And this is what takes place in the organics of your body. Your body is doing this. You don't have any control of this. Your body is going to start to want to get, hey, that's nice. In essence, it's kind of like taking heroin for the first time, or taking some of these other drugs that you take at once and you're hooked. They're very strong. And as it is with this, for your mind, it's very strong for your mind. It's a very strong addiction of mind. Not body, but of mind. And when you take it, give your mind and your body a good 6 months, maybe longer, to fully integrate the explosion, the light, the experiences, to the point that ordinariness is good, is exciting. I've met far, far too many people out there that take it because ordinariness is no longer attractive to them whatsoever. It's a continuous explosion. The addiction, they've been caught with this. Again, the best drug of all is life. There ain't a drug more powerful than life itself. That is a drug. And you want to know how far we are all addicted to it? We're all addicts of this, of life. We are all addicts of life. Hold your nose for a while and keep your mouth closed, and you'll find out. Put yourself under water for a few minutes and see how addicted you are to life. And if that is so, then seek and penetrate with a very fine needle the ordinariness of life, the secrets of it. We are all raised with getting highs. And highs are wonderful. Learning things is wonderful. Going through very vast experiences is a wonderful thing. A very funny thing. No matter how young and how strong we are, we all literally get forced down. Forced. It's against our will to go lie down and sleep. We're forced. It's against our will. All young babies, if you ever had children, they don't want to go to sleep. They will keep their eyes open until those eyelids have become 3 and 4 kilos. And then they're forced to sleep. Because the addiction of life is strong. And you are this life. And when you integrate the drugs, when you integrate it, Because it's not, it's something we cannot stop. I've taken them too. They're wonderful things. They can show wonderful things. But keep in mind, no drug can touch consciousness. No drug can touch consciousness. It can't. Drugs are stage and light shows. They can reveal beautiful things. Take the learning, take it, and then bring it into your life. So it's walking into somebody else's house, walking down the street, washing your dishes, sweeping your floor, dealing with nobody at home but you. Is dealing with disappointment, dealing with your illnesses, dealing with your ordinary life. To the point that there is no more loneliness. This word that we have literally invented called boredom, and actually in reality, boredom does not exist. It's impossible for boredom to exist. If you understand the nature of life itself, there's no room, there's no space, there's no reality for boredom to exist. That means it has really literally been created with the illusions of the mind that cannot see anything else outside of itself. And if boredom cannot exist, doesn't exist, you're on a circus ride right now. And it's a fast ride. It's a very fast ride. Our little planet is traveling through a very dark space at very high speeds. It is not still. As it rotates, it is traveling through space at very, very high speeds. It does not sit still. Each continent does not sit still. Everything is constantly moving beneath our feet. The mountains are always eroding. We have something like 53 miles of nerves running through our body. Feelings of ecstasy all the way down to despair, to feel. 53 miles of despair or joy. We have billions of lights flashing in our brain. Billions. Lights going off and lights going away. Thoughts coming and going. We have people walking by, very difficult to stand still. Much less a memory, much less an idea. We have legs that want to just move and walk and not sit still. We have curiosity that somehow never seems to quit. I think it's battery.
Battery's dying.
We have batteries dying. One astonishing revelation. If there is something to contemplate, to self-ignite, if there is really a way to give us a good reason, because you give any human being good enough reasons inside, and the reasons are so good, you will self-ignite. But it takes a lot of debate, an awful lot of contemplation to do this. Because we all grow up defensive, and we have to be the way the world is. We all grow up with caution, and we have to be. We have all to be very cautious. But if there is a contemplation to think about, if you really look at it, life does nothing but give. It does nothing but give and give and give and give and give. Life does nothing but give. It is arrogance to think that it is us that can save this planet. That's arrogance. There's nothing but time. The farmer will always tilt the soil. There's plenty of planets, plenty of time. Go ahead and explode it. Doesn't matter. Radiate it. No problem. I'll fix it. Plenty of time. It gives us nothing but life and life and life and life. Doesn't ask anything in return. We find ourselves in a very big sandbox. And we become children that build sand castles and throw sand into each other's eyes. We can build bigger ones and smaller ones. And one day, we have to eventually walk away from the sandbox. And sometimes all we have to do is look up. And sometimes maybe it takes an awful lot of sand in one's eyes. And sometimes the hurt may be too much. And sometimes it's a shooting star. And sometimes it is just a profound thought. What is of belongs to your society, understand it belongs to this society. The money, the taxes, the petrol. What belongs to this society, the cars, the plates, and the food. But what really belongs to where we all come from. For remember, this is not your home. This is not your home. We are all but guests. Very temporary guest here, pretending this is mine. But when we stop pretending and recognizing what a guest is, and to be a good guest, like the farmer, it's a very wonderful thing. It farms all the continents. It farms the fates and farms the karma. It farms the predicament. It farms a situation So that one fateful night, that woman and that young man could get together so we could be born, whether we are born through lust or love, but to give us another life where there is nothing but life. Another way to look at life, whether it is through a sandbox, sitting down, or eventually walking away from it. And hoping that one time we could just take one deep breath. And hoping that we could recognize just one sign that there is something far greater than just me, my, and I. There's something that has given me, mine, and I. You want a secret? You want a key? Just speak as I speak to you inside. Or learn, it's good to be a good listener. But you also have a throat, you also have a voice. And when you really speak from your bones, your voice speaks as loud as anybody else's. As far as any angel, as far as any forest fire, as loud as any explosion. But we have been given a free will. And like any child, when a child says no, parents cannot do anything. And sometimes we become like little kids, saying, no, I do not want to hear. No, I do not want to receive. No, I do not wish to speak. When our subtle fields start to vibrate, our voice starts to become very, very loud without even moving our lips. And really that is the real voice. And we all know that, the silent voice. And no human being can really, really know you. For this relationship is only between you and life. We can share words, we can share our touches, we can share our stories, We can share our hopelessness. But your real lover is between life and you. And that is a continuous explosion. No mind can keep up with that. No mind can comprehend that. But you can. Or if you can find yourself somewhere in a few moments of 15 billion years, somehow found yourself on a planet in a universe that is constantly exploding, that is constantly expanding. And if you can find yourself on this simple planet, even though there may be 6 billion of us, that's really very small compared to grains of sand. For 5 billion is really nothing compared to the moments of existence. And you have somehow found yourself here. You did that. And you didn't even ask for it. Just given to you. This is who you speak to. This is who to speak to. Speak to your mechanic about your car. Speak to the government about your taxes. But you speak to your Creator within your own heart. And once you find this voice, you can never, 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 ever be lost. Never, ever be confused anymore. You will see that it is literally impossible for boredom to exist. And there are also, as we grow up and learn, there are a lot of terrible things that people do to other people. And do not forget, our world is not sane. It's still a very insane world. But it's a very young world too. Nature is still very strong, running through all people. And somehow the spirit inside has not really developed yet. We're still very, very much in the dark ages inside. Those can take thousands and thousands of years to come out of this. But somehow it is very easily thousands of years somehow have passed us. So thousands of years somehow will go by very quickly too. Straighten up your backs. Use peripheral vision. Keep your eyes open, but keep your eyes with peripheral vision. Keep your vision relaxed. Now sense the top of your heads. Feel the top of your head. Let that door open. Receive. It's not the point of how wonderful you are or how terrible you are. That is not the point. The point is to receive. And it's as easy as opening up the door and letting the light in. You don't need a reason. Ho xie de ka de ne te ho xie ha ye ha ha ni ki ki ti ki ki ti ti ha xie ha ha ha. Close your eyes. Keep your lunch kind of quiet. Keep your mind quiet as much as possible during your lunch. Now open up your eyes. kind of keep it quiet. 2 hours? What? 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock. Let's see.